Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. I'm actually in the Lee Company studios here in Columbia today, going solo. Wade is in the IT city, Nashville, for today's show. It's not as busy up there today as it's going to be tomorrow, Wade, but how's things in Nashville today?
You could say, it's the calm before the storm, right?
Perfect.
I've already seen several Preds shirts. I think folks are ready. They got a couple big nights worth of music at Nissan Stadium. It's going to be fun, but Smashville is hopefully going to take care of business tomorrow night.
And you have secured your transportation to Bridgestone for tomorrow night?
I will. Yeah. So I will be working the concerts at Nissan tomorrow night. However,
so you're not going to the, okay.
Sister will be there. Our good friend, former Martin Methodist AD, Jeff Bain, he's got seats close to the ice. There will be some representation. And, Morgan Wallen, it came out today, he waived his court appearance for tomorrow because there was a chance, you could have the show postponed due to jail time. So it looks like he's going to go tomorrow night and tonight and Saturday. So I'll be tuned in. You probably, if the Preds score often enough or late enough, you might be able to hear Bridgestone from over at Nissan tomorrow night.
So Mr. Wallen decided that discretion was the better part of valor then. Is that what you're saying? We're just going to drop back and punt on this one and take our chances later in the process. But Wade, do you think Jeff will be familiar with, be responsible for one of the catfish that hits the ice tomorrow night?
I will tell you this. Don't put it past him. Jeff has ridden the Zamboni during a playoff game. And Jeff and I, years ago, we went to a thriller, a 3-overtime Preds game versus the Sharks. So he's got some tricks up his sleeve. The early line, if you're going to put a Vegas line on it, early line would say he's not going to be a catfish thrower, but do not put anything past that man.
Well, when you said he was going to be close to the ice, it just made me think, maybe he could pull something off.
Now that you say that, I'm going to drop a text and just plant the seed and see if he's close enough that he could even attempt such a feat, because he's wily enough that he may give it a go.
There you go. Great show today. In the second hour, we will be joined by our favorite National Basketball Association analyst, LANDEN. He's going to break down the NBA playoffs, who's gone, who's moving forward, and what to expect here over the next little bit. In the next segment on Coach's Corner, we will be joined by newly named Montgomery Bell Academy baseball coach Andrew TRIGGS, former Major League pitcher, former pitcher for the Big Red, and pitched collegiately at Southern Cal. So excited to talk to him. Also spent some time with the Nashville Sound. So yeah, again, excited to talk to new NBA baseball coach Andrew TRIGGS here in the next segment on Coach's Corner. Also going to be talking a little Braves. They avoided the sweep out at Seattle as we were finishing up yesterday's show, actually. So got that done, and some other MLB tidbits. And again, it's Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today. We will be throwing it back to last week's segment where we visited with Brad Willis, the executive director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, as he was getting ready for the draft and his role with Titans Radio on that. So we will we'll be replaying that segment in the second hour as well. So stay tuned. We got some good stuff, I think. And Wade, perhaps we ought to get to it.
Let's do this thing, partner.
All right, then. We're going to start by giving you all yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
To the rundown we go. High school baseball scores from last night. Brentwood defeating Ravenwood 5-0 in that contest. Centennial fell to Summit 3-2 was your final score there. Clarksville picks up a 9-6 win versus Springfield. It was Rossview edging Clarksville Northeast 3-1. Columbia Central defeating Coffee County 11-3. Cookeville 6, Laverne 1. Dixon County wins a slugfest 15-13 versus West Creek. Eagleville 10, Fayetteville nothing. Joe Burns 5, East Robertson nothing. Beach picked up a 6-1 win over Gallatin. It was Hendersonville 11, Mount Juliet 1. Page knocks off Independence 9-2. Lawrence County defeating Giles County last night 7-4. Lebanon with a 12-2 victory over Smyrna. It was Nolensville 2, Franklin 1. Oakland picks up the 11-1 win versus Rockvale. And it was also 11-1 this time, however, Siegel knocking off Blackman.
In softball action yesterday, Good Pasture with a 9-8 victory over Columbia Academy. Good Pasture defeated Columbia Academy 9-8. Community defeated Eagleville 8-6. Cookeville with a 16-0 win over Laverne. It was Friendship Christian 10, Clarksville Academy nothing. Independence with an 18-2 win over Brentwood. It was Lebanon 13, Wilson Central 12. Giles County 13, Loretto nothing. Mount Pleasant 10, Culleoka 3. Oakland 5-0 over Forest, and Pope Prep edged Harpeth Hall 9-8. Boys soccer action, Stewart's Creek and Wilson Central play to a 4-4 draw. In Major League Baseball action yesterday, as we said, the Atlanta Braves with a 5-2 win over Seattle, and the Cleveland Guardians edged Houston 3-2. At First Horizon Park, it's the Norfolk Tides with another victory over the Nashville Sounds, winning that one 7-3, going up 2-0 in this 6-game series.
Baseball schedule tonight. Mount Juliet and Gallatin will kick things off at 4 p.m. Wilson Central will take on Cookeville at 4:30. Oakland is going to travel to Riverdale at 4:30 as well. Culleoka is at Cornersville at 5 o'clock tonight. Mount Pleasant taking on Loretto at 5 p.m. Lewis County is taking on Summertown at 5 p.m. It'll be Rockvale versus Blackman at 7 this evening. Rossview at Clarksville. Moore County at Eagleville tonight. It'll be Hendersonville at Green Hill. Hillsboro taking on John Overton. Mount Pleasant will play Loretto. Brentwood meeting Page. Santa Fe is at Richland tonight. Lebanon is at Stewart's Creek. And East Robertson is at Joe Burns.
In softball action today at 4:30, Pope Prep is at Brentwood Academy. Whites Creek is at Overton at 4:45. At 5 o'clock, Station Camp plays Portland. Also, Mount Pleasant is at Santa Fe. Dixon County goes to Waverly. Loretto is at Collinwood. Stewart's Creek and Cookeville will play. Joe Burns is at Houston County. At 6 o'clock, Shelbyville travels to Columbia Central. Also at 6 o'clock, Franklin Road Academy is at Columbia Academy. Gallatin plays at Hendersonville. Summertown hosts McNairy Central. Perry County is at Zion Christian at 6. At 7, Macon County plays White House. Lebanon is at Smyrna. Times unlisted. Hensworth is at Father Ryan. East Nashville goes to Hillsboro. Murfreesboro Central is at Lawrence County. And Clarksville Northwest goes to Stewart County.
Boys soccer action tonight. We begin things at 5 o'clock as Lipscomb Academy travels to Brentwood Academy. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Friendship Christian. Columbia Academy is traveling to Mount Juliet Christian. Harpeth is at Nashville Christian tonight. Our final 5 p.m. kickoff is Ezell Harding, who's at Providence Christian. 5:30 tonight, we'll see Knowledge Academies travel to Liberty Creek. 6 p.m. this evening, West Creek is traveling to Clarksville Northeast. Waverly will be at Culleoka tonight. Franklin Christian at DCA. Montgomery Central is at Dixon County. Smyrna traveling to Laverne. Community coming into Linville to take on the Richland Raiders. Station Camp is at Shelbyville tonight. Valor Collegiate is at Spring Hill. A couple of 6:30 kickoffs this evening. DeKalb County is at Rockvale. Kirkwood is at Whites Creek. 7 p.m. showdowns. Columbia will be at Franklin County. Lawrence County will travel to Giles County in the opening round of their district tournament. Gallatin is at Hendersonville this evening. Spring Hill is at Henry County. Zion Christian will be at Loretto tonight. White House Heritage is at Rossview. Lebanon at Stewart's Creek. And a start time not available to us, but Antioch is scheduled to travel to Oakland.
Oh. Major League Baseball. I got you. Major League Baseball at 7:10. Cleveland is at Houston. That game can be seen on the MLB Network and on Space City Network as well. The Nashville Sounds continue their series at First Horizon Park against visiting Norfolk. That's a 6:35 start. And at 7 on Vire. Is that what that is, Wade?
I think so.
VYR, yeah, this is a Chris Yao entry here into the rundown at 7 o'clock on the VYRE network. The Nashville Cats are at the Albany Firebirds in arena ball action. So that rounds out our rundown. Always by Piggly Wiggly over in Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options as well as their hand-cut meats. And everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia bringing you today's top story. We told you yesterday that the Tennessee Sports Writers Association had announced its women's basketball coach and player of the year. Today, they announced their men's basketball coach and player of the year. And both of them are familiar names, particularly if you've been watching this show, because Freed Hardeman's Drew Stutz, coach of the national championship NAIA Lions, is your TSWA men's basketball coach of the year for the 23-24 season. Freed Hardeman finished up 32-4, won the Mid-South Conference regular season championship. They shared it, and they won the tournament championship before running off 4 straight victories in Kansas City by a combined 19 points. So it was their 3rd straight trip to the NAIA Nationals. Stutz, 109-45 in 5 seasons as head coach down in Henderson, and he is the NAIA National Coach of the Year, in addition to earning Tennessee Sports Writers Association honors today. Men's Player of the Year, this will be a little bit of a shock. Tennessee's Dalton Connect is the organization's Player of the Year, following up on his SEC Player of the Year honors as well as his All-America honors and a finalist for the Naismith Award. So, Dalton Connect, the TSWA Men's Basketball Player of the Year. Drew Stutz of Freed Hardeman is your TSWA Men's Basketball Coach of the Year. Congrats to both of them.
Yeah, big props to Coach Stutz and Dalton, obviously. If it wouldn't have been Dalton Connect, I guess the crazy thing is, though, there could have been somebody at a different classification in Tennessee that could have been worthy, but to most fans, obviously, it was always going to be Dalton Connect. So kind of pretty much a foregone conclusion there. But Coach Stutz, as you mentioned, who was just on the program, fresh off that natty a couple of weeks ago, major props there. They've done a fantastic job. Freed has been a women's basketball powerhouse over the years for a long, long time, but the men's program certainly taking steps in the right direction the last couple of seasons. And with Coach Stutz at the helm, it was good to see them make that run, cutting down the nets in Kansas City.
Yeah, after getting out there each of the previous 2 years as well to finally finish that off and get a victory over another perennial power, Langston out of Oklahoma, in that national championship game, and the way they did it in particular, rallying back really late in that ball game to get that victory. So yeah, congratulations to Drew Stutz and to Freed Hardeman on that national championship and on his Men's Basketball Coach of the Year honors from the Tennessee Sports Writers Association. Couple of local girls basketball positions have been filled here in
We'll get Mo back in just a second as he's got a bevy of high school basketball positions in and around Murray County that have either gotten filled or will be filled because the coaching carousel has continued to move along, and I think he's going to bring us up to speed there. What we got on the coaching carousel?
I apologize. I'm not sure how I wound up out of the studio, but I did. Corey Bishop has been named girls basketball coach at Santa Fe, and I just lost the name. Kyle Shipley has been named girls basketball coach at Spring Hill. Those were 2 of the 4 vacancies here in Murray County, so those have been filled. Columbia Central and Mount Pleasant still on the clock with their vacancies. So, yeah, we've got 2 of 4 positions filled here in Murray County. So, congrats to those programs and those coaches for getting that done. Let's go ahead and go to a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company studios, it'll be time to give out a little of our weekly hardware and for Coach's Corner, as we will visit with new Montgomery Bell Academy baseball coach Andrew Triggs. Stay with us after the break.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're in the Lee Company studios. Me here in Columbia, Wade in Nashville. And Wade, before we get to, excuse me, Coach's Corner with new NBA baseball coach Andrew Triggs, let's go ahead and give out a little hardware. Our custom stone handlers Into Win Life team of the week is the Loretto Mustangs baseball team. Last week won 3 games, took a home-and-home series from Scotts Hill 6-2 and 12-1, and defeated Lincoln County in shootout fashion 18-14. Followed that up with an 11-0 victory a couple of nights ago against Lawrence County. So Loretto's on a roll here as they head into postseason play. They are our Into Win Life team of the week, brought to you by Custom Stone Handlers. Our TOA Columbia athlete of the week is Summit sophomore Bella Uppinghouse. In 3 games, Bella went 7 for 9 with a walk, a triple, and 2 RBIs, while giving up just 1 earned run in 15 innings in the circle. Summit going 2-1 in those 3 games. So congratulations to Bella Uppinghouse of Summit, our TOA Columbia athlete of the week, and to Loretto, our Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life team of the week. We are now joined by newly named Montgomery Bell Academy baseball coach Andrew Triggs here on Coach's Corner. Coach Triggs, how does that sound?
It sounds pretty good. I'm really excited to get started, but before that, we still got some more baseball to play this year. So right after this, I'll be heading over to Father Ryan for a little playoff baseball.
Now, first off, thanks for joining us here. As it was announced earlier this week that you will be replacing Mike Anderson in that position at the end of this season. Mike is moving into a full-time role as athletics director at the school that both of y'all graduated from. You're going to be stepping in as baseball coach. What is your role right now? Just interested observer?
Right now, more or less. I think that's a charitable way to put it. I guess I'm the pitching coach when I'm able to be there. I'm finishing up graduate school right now, and Coach Anderson reached out to me back in, I guess it was August or so, and said, would you have any interest in coming and helping out from off campus? And I said, sure. It sounds like great fun to be back around a little bit of baseball. So I've been there for probably about 80% of the games this season, really gotten to know the kids well. And there's already such a strong staff in place that, I just feel fortunate to be able to get out there and help where I can. So somewhere between interested observer and assistant coach, I guess, is my current role.
Okay. All right. Pitching coach sounds like it'd be right up your alley. Former pitcher at Montgomery Bell Academy, went on to pitch at the University of Southern California, drafted in 2012. Played in parts of 4 major league seasons with the Athletics, the Red Sox, and the Giants. There we go. Before retiring 4 years ago, you were in grad school. You've been working in private business. Was getting into coaching before Mike called anywhere on your radar?
It was really in the back of my mind, sort of as maybe somewhere down the road. But, having spent my entire professional career truly in baseball, I thought, I want to see what else is out there. And being in business school and exploring some entrepreneurial opportunities, I liked those. But frankly, nothing has energized me as much as being back out on a baseball field this past spring. So even when I was back out there in January, February, March, as we were getting going, it still hadn't occurred to me that this might be a near-term possibility. So I was still exploring other options and avenues. And, when Coach Anderson and I had a few conversations that progressed a bit further, I started to take it seriously. And, I'm aware enough to know that opportunities like this don't just come around every 12 months. And I feel really grateful and, humbled to have the opportunity right now when I do. So when things progressed to where they did, I said, this is an opportunity I have to take. A group of kids I really enjoy being around, at a school I care a lot about, playing a sport that I love. And, I like to think I know a decent amount about. So hopefully I can, provide some some guidance to these young players.
Coach Triggs, I got to ask you point blank, partner. I mean, I see the University of Chicago, MBA, and we're talking baseball with you here. How big of a numbers guy are you? Analytics, how deep in the weeds are you getting on the analytics these days? I just got to ask.
See, I know that's a bit of a curveball for both folks because I really am the reading and writing type. And I know University of Chicago really is the school of economists and heavy quantitative folks. And I can surely hold my own. But as that relates to my baseball career, honestly, too, I feel like I was coming up when analytics was really going across baseball. You know, Moneyball was about the 2002 season. That was really when it was just with the Oakland Athletics, maybe bleeding into a few other organizations. But I believe when I was drafted by the Kansas City Royals and early on in my minor league career there, they still didn't have a fully built out analytics department. All that said, I understand the role of analytics. I find a lot of the data really helpful and interesting, but I kind of feel like I'm a little bit more of an old school approach where numbers are interesting, they're informative, and they can help us a lot. But there is just an intangible factor that really you judge with your eyes and really understanding what's going on between a kid's ears. And so analytics certainly is not something to cast aside, but I wouldn't put it in my top two things when it comes to coaching and helping players develop.
So you burst my bubble a little bit there. I thought you were going to press a button, and that background that you had there was going to be all these pie charts and things of that nature. So that kind of diminished my fantasy, I guess, a little bit there. What's been the biggest thing in this week that you've either learned or that you hope to learn about these next couple months and into next season as you kind of get the process really rolling?
Well, I'd say within the last week, it's really hit home to me. And as these conversations have developed, and I've been in the dugout quite a bit this spring, I've really paid closer attention to what Coach Anderson does. And I have a lot of respect and humility with regard to what everything a head coach has to do. And a lot of that's tactical in-game stuff that we as pitchers really don't pay all that much attention to when it's not our day to start and we're hanging out eating sunflower seeds in the dugout or whether we're down in the bullpen. So really getting strong on the tactical in-game stuff is something that I do need to improve on, and I'm excited to, whether that's, you know, when to call a hit and run, dirt ball reads, sending runners, things of that nature. But, you know, I know myself and I know my enthusiasm and my energy for this job, and I feel confident that I can get up to speed. But I am aware there's a lot to learn about the end game. So I'm excited to start that learning process as soon as possible.
Andrew Triggs, 2007 Montgomery Bell Academy graduate, newly named MBA baseball coach effective at the end of this season, joining us here on Coach's Corner. And Andrew, you know, you're taking over the head coaching role at your alma mater. Is that added pressure or is that a little relief? I mean, how does that go from an emotional standpoint, just in terms of how you approach that, especially in your first gig?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. Pressure because I feel like I'm inheriting a fantastic program in terms of performance and culture. It was fun Saturday at senior day being out there, and I was talking to Coach Wims and Coach Anderson simultaneously, and you know, we had 3 generations of head coaches there at that moment. So I have a lot of respect and reverence for what they've accomplished, and so I feel some degree of pressure to live up to that. And relief might be the word for it, but I'm just thrilled to be able to represent a school I care so much about. So it's a combination of both, and I feel really, really fortunate to have this opportunity. So I'm excited.
You know, again, an MBA grad, played your college ball at Southern Cal, embarked on a lengthy professional baseball career. What was it that drew you back to Nashville to even be in position to do this?
Well, I married a girl from Nashville, which helped. So we got married not long ago and just welcomed our first child about 5 weeks ago. So I feel heavily rooted in the community, and maybe the personal life side had something to do with saying, you know what, let's really get back involved in this community. But frankly, I had not foreseen a move back to Nashville in my plans if you went back maybe 5 years ago, but I couldn't be happier to be back here. And that essentially is what drew me back, being closer to family and at the end of the day, I love baseball, I think, more than even I realized a few years ago. And being away from the game for a little bit, wanting to get back involved while also staying close to home and close to family, it really is the best of both worlds.
I noticed that 2020 was your last season of pro ball. Was that a COVID-driven situation, or is that a decision that you feel like you would have arrived at even in a, quote, normal year?
No, that was just that was a health and connective tissue thing. So I had thoracic outlet syndrome, the neurogenic kind, and I had surgery on that in 2018, and it reemerged. It was during a start in Tampa Bay. I felt the symptoms coming back. Your hand starts going numb, and it starts spreading to different fingers, and your arm swells up. I knew what was happening, and I'd spoken to enough doctors to where if this comes back a second time, there's really not all that much they can do. They can go in and clean up the scar tissue, but you might buy yourself another 6 months. I was fortunate, having been in spring training earlier that year with the Giants, talking to another player who had had the procedure done twice. He was back on the shelf with a few months. So I knew once it came back in that start in September of 2020, that was the end of the road for me. I had no more interest in being on training tables in a training room and getting worked on, and hopefully I can get back and pitch another month before this thing comes back a third time. And I knew it was up. I felt like I got about everything I possibly could out of my physical ability, and was excited to start something new. So that really what it was. COVID didn't have anything to do with it. It just happened to be that season, and it was a bit unfortunate because that was kind of a funny, strange season with no fans. But all said, I feel really fortunate for the career I was able to have.
Speaking of no fans, you spent a little time in Oakland. What is it like watching that situation evolve right now as a former athletic?
Just speaking for myself, it does make me a little sad. I love that fan base, and I have a lot of affection for the Coliseum itself. It's a place you go to work every single day. It's the organization that gave me my first major opportunity. I feel really sad for the fans because it is a fantastic fan base. And even when I was there was all sorts of talk about new ballparks they were trying to build in different parts of the city. And, we're focused on our season, but you're still keeping an eye on local media. And maybe this is going to happen at Howard Terminal. Maybe they're doing something downtown. And it really was just a fantastic fan base that would take you in as one of their own. And it makes me sad they're not going to have a team anymore. So, I understand from the business side all the different justifications for wanting to pick up and move, but after the Warriors moving over to San Francisco, the Raiders moving to Las Vegas, it was the last man standing in terms of professional sports in the East Bay, and it does make me sad that they're leaving, but not much I can do about it. But I can't say enough good things about the fans in Oakland. They were and are fantastic.
Before you got to Oakland in 2016, you spent some time with the Nashville Sounds, pitching for your hometown team. That had to be pretty special as well.
No, that was great fun. And I vaguely remember talking to you during the little media day that we had back in 2016. Now, that was great fun. I absolutely loved that. That was the first time I got to pitch in Nashville since I was in high school. And it was pure happenstance. I got claimed off waivers by the A's after being in spring training with the Orioles, maybe 3 weeks prior to being assigned to the Sounds. And it was great fun. I mean, I got called up to the big leagues for the first time, called into the manager's office down there at First Tennessee Park. I got to go have dinner with my family because everyone's here before flying off to Oakland to make my debut. So it was a really fun year. If I look back at everything now, that probably was the most fun year I had, even though I was back and forth, I think something like 9 times between AAA and the big leagues. I love that season. It was so fun. It's a great ballpark to play in.
Andrew, I got to ask you, we're kind of talking about shocking situations here with the A's a little bit. What's kind of shocking more to you, the fact that there won't be baseball in the future in Oakland, or the fact that USC is now going to be a member of the Big Ten? They both kind of seem a little unusual to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would say the latter. I was sort of mentally and emotionally prepared for the team to leave eventually, just after years of following media reports. But the USC to the Big Ten is a bit odd to me. I mean, I understand that's a finance-driven decision for football revenue, and USC and UCLA are the highest grossing teams in the pack. But it's strange to me whenever college conferences have their traditional geographies broken up. And I get it from the football side, but I look at it from the player's perspective. And I remember when, it's a serious academic school, and I took my studies seriously, and you're flying across the country for a non-conference series against UNC from Los Angeles. And that was great fun. And I love those experiences, but these kids are going to be doing it every single week. And that's not easy travel to get from, LA to West Lafayette, Indiana, or Evanston, Indiana. I mean, those are long flights and then long bus rides. And these kids are in school. These kids are trying to stay up on their studies. And to a point, they're going to be missing at least 1 or 2 days a week, every one or 2 days of class every single week during the season. And that's going to be some bad travel. So I feel for the non-football sports that are going to get lumped in with that. But who knows? Maybe something fantastic comes of it. But to me, it does seem a bit odd, and just kind of have to take it as it comes, I guess.
It's interesting that it all kind of unfolds like this, because we always talk about USC, UCLA traveling east and playing football games in November in the snow. But now I'm visualizing, what about the Michigan baseball players? Hey, you get to go out to USC for the weekend. That seems not a bad situation, I suppose.
No, and maybe it provides some sort of a recruiting advantage to the California schools. If you got a really talented Michigan kid and they say, hey, you're at least going to get to play at home or close to home once or twice a year, it'll be nice for those schools. And the Big Ten is no slouch in terms of baseball. They've gotten a lot stronger, whether it's Michigan or Indiana, Iowa. But it's strange when you start thinking about, instead of playing Stanford, Cal, or Arizona State, locking horns with Michigan State, and Purdue, good programs, but just historically not matchups you envision for USC and UCLA.
You love to be coming out of the bullpen for USC in Happy Valley, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
warming up takes on a whole different. Yeah.
It used to be you'd have 1 or 2 bad draws every spring when you were at USC, and it was if you had to go to Pullman, Washington in March or April, and you just kind of mentally prepare for it. But I don't know, maybe it'll make the kids tougher. They'll get used to it. But yeah, being a starting pitcher in cold weather is no problem. Being a reliever in cold weather, that's tough. That's tough.
There we go. Andrew Triggs, the new baseball coach at Montgomery Bell Academy, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. Andrew, appreciate your time, man. And tell Mike I said hey, and good luck to y'all the rest of this spring before you take it over.
I will. Thank you so much, and go Big Red.
All righty.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, let's go ahead and go to a break here from the Lee Company Studios on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back, I'm talking a little Braves, a little Major League Baseball, so stay with us after the break.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
May 2nd, 1987, with apologies in advance to Wade. Greg Nettles and Deion James each hit grand slams. Nettles a pinch hit bomb, and Ozzie Virgil added a solo shot in the Braves' 12-8 win over visiting Houston. Nettles' slam in the sixth broke open a 3-2 contest, and James made it a 12-2 game before the Astros scored a couple late. It marked the second time in franchise history the Braves had hit two grand slams in a game. The previous occurrence was by pitcher Tony Cloninger, who hit both of them in 1966. That was this day in Braves history.
Why you got to do me like that, man?
Hey, man, it was just the luck of the research, I guess. It's nothing personal, strictly business.
I understand. You know, my 8-month-old self really still kind of holds that one close to the vest. But it's okay. I'm working on it. It's a daily process. But
another old joke again with the old jokes. Here's what's funny to me: when I first saw this, where I go to look up these historical tidbits, I did not, and I do not remember Greg Nettles as a Brave.
No, when you mentioned the name, that didn't trigger anything for me.
I remember Deion James. I certainly remember Ozzie Virgil, as Skip Carey used to pronounce it. But I do not remember Greg Nettles. I only remember him with the then Cleveland Indians and with the New York Yankees. Clearly, this was at the end of his career, but I do not remember Greg Nettles in Atlanta. So,
hey, now how about this at the end? Pitcher Tony Cloninger single-handedly achieving the feat in 60s. A pitcher with two grand slams?
Two grand slams in a game, yes. Look up Tony Cloninger's hitting numbers. They, for a pitcher, are pretty impressive. He's got a lot of notoriety along these type lines back in the mid-'60s for Atlanta, back when even with the pitchers hitting, it still didn't help in a lot of instances. But anyway, Braves, as we said, managed to avoid the sweep yesterday, defeated Seattle 5-2, got to 20-9 on the year. Austin Riley may be heating up, had a couple of hits, including an Oppo triple that drove in a couple of runs. And he's been hitting balls hard. all year, as everybody in Atlanta has been saying, and finally had a couple fall yesterday. Chris Sale with 9 strikeouts in his 5 innings of work, and then handed it over to the bullpen. But yeah, a low scoring series. What was it? 2-1 on Tuesday, 3-2 on. I'm sorry, 2-1 on Monday, 3-2 Tuesday, and 5-2 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, not a whole lot of offense, but the Braves finally got just enough to get a win and get out of there, get into an off day today before starting up a huge series, I guess, against the Dodgers. So,
Yeah, that'll be a big one, and maybe the first of many epic battles that we'll see those teams do part in this year.
yeah, I saw some article about 9 storylines for May, and one of them was, the Braves have the best record in baseball, and just wait until they start clicking on all cylinders offensively. They're 20-9, and Acuna, Riley, and Olsen have, relatively struggled.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, Olsen in particular, right? You're thinking his bat's gotta get cranked as far as home run production.
well, home runs and ribs. I mean, what did he have last year? 54 and 139. I mean, you can't expect him to do that again this year, but you don't expect what he's doing right now either. So he's going to heat up again. Austin's already starting to heat up, looks like, and Ronald, even though he's not getting a whole lot of hits necessarily, he's getting on base and making things happen. So, that's kind of what you want to see out of the top of the order right there. So, again, big series starting tomorrow in LA. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But 10 innings yesterday, Wade. Your guys lost late, lost close. Got to be a little encouraging, I would think, but still.
Yeah, back-to-back games that go extras. Houston winning the first 10-9, and then last night, Guardians winning 3-2. They'll get ready to throw down for, I guess, winner take all, as it were, tonight. You love the it's symmetrical if nothing else. Cleveland's 20-10, Houston's 10-20.
Oh,
so
nice.
they'll get it on tonight at 7:10, which should be a good one. Would love to come out of that because I feel who did we say? Houston's got the Mariners coming up this weekend. Then they got the Yankees right after that. So they got a couple big series all in a row here. So it'd be nice to keep a little of that momentum that they picked up, we thought, from Colorado, and then winning the opener in the series.
You feel like there's going to be some runs scored in this one tonight. Logan Allen starting for Cleveland, got a 5.46 ERA, 3-1 on the year. Spencer Arrighetti 0-3 with a 10.97 since being called up earlier this year. So could be another offensive game, more like the Tuesday night affair.
I would say so. And Mo, while you were talking about the Braves and heating up, you probably already know this, but this blows my mind. The hottest team in baseball right now, they've won all 10 of their last 10 games, and they currently are in 4th place in their division. Do you know the team of which I speak?
The White Sox? No, who?
That you're in the ballpark. The Twins have won 10 straight, and they're now 17-13. But technically, because they got off to such a bad start, even though they've won 10 in a row, they're still 3 games back in a log-jammed AL Central that Cleveland is still perched atop the standings of. That is wild to look at in the standings here. You got a team toiling at the bottom, and if you just don't glance at anything but the last 10, you're saying, "What the heck? How did this happen?" But they got off to a slow start. Minnesota is the hottest team over their last 10 games right now. Just kind of unusual when you look at the standings there.
Wade, if you will go back to our wild and wacky segment yesterday, it's got to be the summer sausage.
They could be onto something. And we discussed what would happen when they get ready for their series versus Toronto. And imagine the pressure if they leave that up to a manager or a clubhouse caretaker. If something happens to that precious sausage, these guys, I'm not saying it'll be all-out war, but I mean, I would not want that responsibility right now.
It could be ugly. It could absolutely be ugly. We didn't manage to talk a couple of days ago about the brawl between the Rays and the Brewers, but it was significant as a couple of Brewers pitchers got their punishments yesterday. Abner Uribe is set down for 6 games. Freddie Peralta for 5 for their roles in that brawl on Tuesday night. Excuse me. Tampa Bay outfielder Jose Siri got a 3-game suspension. It was later reduced to 2. Milwaukee manager Pat Murphy was set down for a pair of games. All 4 of those guys got fines as well. Uribe and Peralta both appealed, and so their disciplines have kind of been stayed until those appeals are heard. Yesterday, Uribe was optioned to the Nashville Sounds. So I don't know if his suspension would take effect here or when he goes back up or how that works. But the Brewers and the Rays are dealing with some stuff. Peralta hit Siri in his left leg during the 6th inning of that game after Siri hit a home run off Peralta in the 3rd. Against Uribe in the 8th, Siri grounded out, and then I guess Uribe was over close to first base, maybe to cover, I'm not sure, but they got to yapping, Uribe swung, and the game was on. So there's clips.
At one point you got a full old school open-handed slap, it looks like.
Yeah, there was
not a move seen very often these days, but you throw it back with the open-handed slap.
a little disrespectful, isn't it? The slap, not the punch. But yeah, interesting stuff. I didn't know that there was beef between Tampa Bay and Milwaukee, of all people or all teams. But
yeah, nothing about that makes sense from a long-standing sense, right? I mean,
how often do they play?
How often do they play? I mean, it's not as if the cities share some, hatred toward one another. Kind of unusual.
It's very unusual when you think about it. So yeah, but got some guys that'll be sitting a little bit here. As we said during the rundown, the Sounds continue their series against visiting Norfolk tonight, following a 7-3 loss last night to the Tides. They will play at 6:35. Nashville starter TBD. The Tides will send out Justin Armbruster 0-2 with an 8.38. So speaking of scoring opportunities, Aaron Ashby went yesterday, struck out 6, gave up just 1 run on 2 hits over 5 innings, but the bullpen kind of fell apart for Nashville in that one, specifically in the 6th inning when Norfolk scored 4 to go up 5-1. So tough sledding at home for Nashville. They are now 13-16 on the year. Norfolk improves to 14-15 with that win. And again, they play at 6:35 tonight down at First Horizon. Tomorrow in the first hour of, to open the second hour of the show, right at the top at 3 o'clock, we are expected to be joined by Brewer Hicklin, who we discussed with Jeff Him during last week's Sound segment. He got back from a little injury and has been pretty much the offensive spark plug for the Sounds throughout this season, ranking at or near the top in most every offensive category for them. So we'll be speaking with him. And I'm going to ask him, I mean, would there be a better organization for Brewer Hicklin to be in? So looking forward to visiting with him tomorrow and talking a little Nashville Sounds. Let's go ahead and go to a break. When we come back for the second hour of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, it is Throwback Thursday. We will be going to our segment from last week with Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Executive Director Brad Willis. So stay with us when we come back from this break right here on Main Street Sports Today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Welcome into the second hour of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely, and we are now throwing it back to a segment from last week's show, a week ago today, actually, as we were visiting with Brad Willis, Executive Director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, talking Little Titans draft as that was coming up in a few hours, and talking little Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame and some developments going on with that organization. So, roll 'em, Mark.
Now we are joined from Nissan Stadium by Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Executive Director Brad Willis, who is still keeping his hand in with some Titans radio coverage as they prepare for their NFL draft coverage tonight. Brad, good afternoon.
Hey Mo, hey Wade, how's it going?
Well, you can pretty well tell not great.
Yeah, I've struggled through some hoarse voice before, and you certainly are making the best of it.
I'm trying, man. I'm really trying, but I don't think it's great radio, but I'm doing what I can. Hey, what exactly are you doing with the Titans radio tonight?
So tonight at 6 on the Titans Radio Network and the flagship here in Nashville, we start wall-to-wall coverage of the first round of the NFL Draft, and with a special emphasis on the Titans picks. Obviously, number 7 with the Titans' number 1 overall, number 1 pick in the first round for them. So we'll go on the air at 6 and kind of set up tonight and take the pick live and break down what that means for the Titans moving forward.
Do you all get any kind of advance notice if, say, they're trading back or anything like that, or do you find out with everybody else?
It's happened both ways. And I say advance notice, I'm talking maybe 20, 30 seconds. I think a lot of what happens on television, at the draft, a lot of that is being done, behind the scenes. They've got to stitch a name on a jersey and they've got to do all those kinds of things. So sometimes those things happen. We found out about the A.J. Brown trade seconds before it was announced. And so, that you remember that being on, draft night. And so we'll occasionally kind of get the scent of where things might be going. But most times we find out when everybody else does, when the commissioner comes out and makes the announcement. And, that's always one of the more fun events. We generally broadcast here at Nissan Stadium or at some Titans season ticket holder event. And, to see the reaction of the fans, for what the pick is, it's always fun to see.
Live radio at its finest, huh?
That's right.
Mo and Brad, that reminds me, the year was 2007, and I was a young intern for you guys at Titans Radio, and we were huddled in the studios as the Titans. Kind of surprised some folks when they took Michael Griffin at the 19th pick. So
that's right.
Here we are all those years later, and I'll be over at Nissan tonight. I'll run into you and say hello, and we're still doing the same thing. Time is a flat circle. A lot of people would say.
That's exactly right. It's just walking in the building tonight. This afternoon, I had somebody ask, like, "What do you think is going to happen?" I was like, "Gosh, there's only 6 picks in front of them, but so much could change depending on who comes off the board at 1 through 6." So it's really it's a new regime. It's a new thought process. It's a new direction, and so we're going to all figure that out in real time. I think the fan base is pretty excited about it. I think that they like what they've seen out of Brian Callahan. I think they like that Bill Callahan is here coaching offensive line, and I think that it's one of those things that really opens up a lot of possibilities, and it'll be fun to see how it all plays out.
Brad, as we've talked to people here over the last week, 2 weeks, it feels like the Titans are the most intriguing team in the draft. And that's not necessarily a compliment because, they've got, for lack of a better phrase, they've got so many holes to fill. There are so many different directions they can go in. And, they may or may not actually execute the pick at 7. I mean, would you agree with that as you 100%. Look across?
Well, and that's where we're going to learn a little bit about, this regime and kind of their approach. Do you pick for need or do you pick the best available player, knowing that you hope you're not at number 7, or better next year, and who's there. So, a lot of people are projecting offensive line because there's serious concern that the offensive line depth is not where they need it to be. But then what if a playmaker falls to you at number 7 that you can't overlook? And so I think we'll learn a little bit tonight about their approach moving forward. And that's, to your point, it's not a compliment because there are a lot of holes, but it really kind of changes things for the fan base because you don't really have a 100% lock on where this team's going tonight.
We didn't bring you in to talk Titans draft. There was an announcement regarding the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame last week that I don't think we've been able to visit with you about. Tell us where y'all are going to be here in about 3 years.
Well, it's really exciting. So we are in the process. We just announced it last week. We are moving the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Museum to the new Nissan Stadium. So when it opens here in 2027, in the spring of 2027, we're going to be right there with it. And we're really excited, really thankful to the partnership with the Titans. They're stoked about this. We've seen some blueprints and some things. Obviously that's a work in progress with a lot of different things, and so that's kind of an ever evolving thing. We're super, super appreciative to the Nashville Predators. We've been in our space there for nearly 25 years. And it's one of those things that we'd kind of said to the Preds, hey, at some point, the kind of the evolution of our organization and the evolution of your organization, it might not necessarily, agree in this space anymore. And so we're just really excited that we're going to get the chance to be at what I feel like is going to be a really destination location in Nashville for many, many years to come. I think the venue will ultimately be one that people will stop and want to see. The plan right now is that the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame is accessible from the outside world. So just like we are now, where we have, field trips and tour groups and visitors just coming throughout the day, they'll still be able to access us, throughout the week and learn a little bit about the state of Tennessee. And we're going to take a space that at this point is 25 years old, and we're going to now reimagine it. We're going to reimagine it for a space that opens in 2027 that, we think will be here for many, many decades. And so we want that new space to kind of tell some of the stories that have happened over the last couple of decades and really set us up to be able to tell the stories of things that haven't even happened yet. So it's an exciting time for our organization. It's one that, it's one thing about that announcement is that the current space is going to close after May 15th of this year. Part of that is we were coming up on the expiration of a lease. The other part of that is that we're going to need some time and organization to be able to build out some of this new space. And so when you think about what that process looks like, there's bulldozers going across the way, digging out holes for the space now. And, once things start going up, we're going to be in there with that construction process too. And so, we're looking forward to that and really hope that people who appreciate our space, who appreciate sports in the state of Tennessee, or maybe who have never been able to visit us before, will do that, over the next, 3 or 4 weeks and come pay us a visit and see us before we close up shop. And then down the line, we'll have some exciting announcements. I don't think we'll be completely dark from an outreach perspective. We're going to be able to kind of take our show on the road a little bit, and we'll have some of those things to announce later. But it's an exciting time, and I think that the new Nissan Stadium and Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame will be an absolute fit for both parties.
It's one of those situations, Brad, I guess, where you kind of got to take a couple of steps back to take a bunch of steps forward. I mean, you guys are going to be dark for almost 3 years, basically.
It'll be somewhere around that. And then and there are opportunities that we may not be completely dark. But knowing that we're moving and knowing that we're, coming up on the expiration of a lease, it's one of those things that just kind of times out the way that it does. And it really gives us a chance to kind of step back and evaluate how we handle our outreach. And so there may be things that come up. There may be a temporary location that comes together over the next little bit. There are some things that are kind of in the works in the background that we think, may come together, but we aren't really kind of ready to roll those out yet. But the one thing that we know for certain is that 2027 we'll be right there at the new Nissan Stadium, and it should be just a top of the line space for people to come check out and learn about sports in the state of Tennessee.
Brett,
So
you guys already had a fantastic facility, but it seems like this is a perfect, obviously, fit and opportunity. But it also seems like, is this a chance, hey, while the checkbook is out, this is a chance to really just blow this thing out of the water in conjunction with the new Nissan Stadium from a amenity standpoint? Is any idea too big for you guys right now?
Well, that's part, to go back to Mo's point, part of the next 3 years is kind of on me, because we are a nonprofit organization. We're in the process of raising capital to, kind of like flesh out what this looks like. We've talked to several companies who are, well-versed in putting together venues like this. And it's amazing, the stories that they can tell and the way that these things are constructed now. And so you can look at some of these things and they are the absolute top of the line technology. And then you have some things, it's really an interesting thing because we've talked about where do you strike the balance between a physical artifact that you can go in and see, something tangible versus, interactive or experiential type things. And so we're trying to find, the right fit for that while we're telling the story of over 500 inductees over the last, 59 years, which is an incredible group. And we're very lucky that they all come from the state of Tennessee and we're able to tell their story.
Brad Willis, Executive Director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Brad, how many state sports halls of fame are there, and do you administrators, talk, compare notes, that kind of thing? Do you try to kind of steal from other folks?
We do. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the best ideas are stolen. I've had the chance to meet in person with the executive director of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. I've talked at length with Mississippi and Georgia's Sports Halls of Fame. Kentucky's is different. Kentucky has an exhibit. They used to have an exhibit at Freedom Hall. I believe they have an exhibit at the Yum Center now, but they don't have a physical Hall of Fame. Florida no longer has a physical Hall of Fame. And it's, it's interesting because some of them are operated as state entities, and some of them are like us and they're 501c3s. And so, there's a little bit to learn from everybody, and we've compared notes. And there's a great organization that we're a part of called the International Sports Heritage Association, and not just state halls of fame, but many different kinds of sports hall of fame, motorsports hall of fame, all those kinds of things. So it's good to be able to kind of share ideas. We get together once a year for a conference and kind of talk through best practices and things that work. We've got an email thread going right now about banquets and how long they should run and how those all work for everybody. And so it's always interesting to see how other people do it. I give big kudos to the TSSAA and how they handle their Hall of Fame event. First year I attended that was right before our banquet 2 years ago. And I told Heather Carter from TSSAA, I said, I'm borrowing some things because it works, and so it's some of the best ideas are stolen, but it's certainly a tip of the hat to the ones who do it right. And we try to do the same. So both from a museum perspective, banquet perspective, anything else, we're really excited about our television show that we started doing in 2020. And when we talk to people about different ways that you can kind of get the message out, across your state, that's one way that we've suggested to do it, because we've got great partners from Memphis all the way to Johnson City. And, about a week before the banquet, we have a television special that goes on and really talks about, the class that's going in. So we're getting ready to do that again this year. And again, feel like any exposure is good exposure, so long as it's really telling people about the great inductees and what they've meant to our state.
This year's banquet is set for July 20th at Omni Nashville downtown. And have you completed the rollout of the class?
We haven't. We have one more. We have one more to go. Yes. And if I tell you why we haven't announced that inductee, you may come close to figuring out who it is. So I'm not going to delve too deep into that. But it's a biggie, and it's one that we're excited about. And this whole class is one that we're excited about. Chris Burke, we just announced him a couple weeks ago on SEC Network as he and Dave Neal were calling the Tennessee LSU baseball game. Chris Johnson, Tennessee Titans 2K, CJ 2K, really excited he's part of the class. Scott Hamilton, Scott, it's funny because Scott and his family have lived, in the Nashville area for close to 20 years, and really kind of what he means to just giving back to the community of skating. It means so much. And this is the 40th anniversary of his gold medal in Sarajevo. And it's just, it's incredible that is all kind of lined up. But we've got some great, Fred Warren, longtime golf coach at East Tennessee State. Paul Anacone played tennis at the University of Tennessee. Faye Bucci was a longtime pro at Belmead Country Club, 41 years, and was a champion tennis player in his own right. Babe Howard, the late Babe Howard, Mr. Millington, Tennessee, if you will. He built USA Stadium out there in Millington as a way to give high school kids a chance to make it into, college, make it onto a team. I've left somebody out. I'm trying to remember who. Dave Luce. How could I forget Coach Luce? I mean, Coach Luce and what he meant to the Govs at Austin Peay. It's just like I said, it's a solid class from top to bottom, and we're really excited. And when we finally announce inductee number 12, you'll say, "Oh wow, okay, that's good. That's icing on the cake." And so we're really excited about that one.
You almost got them all.
I left out Charlie Bayless from Happy Valley.
Yep, and Tiger Bell, Gene Patton Latimer.
Let me tell you, Gene Patton Latimer is one that I'm really thrilled is part of this. The late Arnett Bodenhammer really pushed for her candidacy. And it's funny because she's one that I think a lot of people, based on her accomplishments and her history, just assumed that she was already in. And so when Mr. Bodenhammer kind of brought it to our attention, I flagged that. I was like, yeah, the committee needs to know about this. And so I'm really, really excited that she's in this year.
And then Memphis racquetball player Larry Lyles.
Larry Lyles is I didn't realize until doing some digging that the national championship racquetball trophy is the Larry Lyles trophy. He means that much to the sport. And he coached generations of players at Memphis. I've been talking to a great number of them that plan to come out and support him. Again, as you mentioned, July 20th at the Omni, downtown Nashville. It's our 2024 induction class, and really hope people will come join us, be a part of it. Last year was a great event, really kind of a who's who of sports in the state of Tennessee. And tickets and tables are for sale online. All you have to do is go to our website, which is tshf.net.
Wade has pointed out in our private chat, if I got 30 seconds with Chris Burke, I would have to tell him how he broke my heart in that Astros Braves playoff game.
Yeah, that's right. The walk-off.
Yes, that one hurt. That one hurt.
That one hurt a lot of Braves fans.
I mean, it almost erased everything that he had done at UT prior to that, as far as I was concerned. But,
I can understand.
Fantastic class as always. You guys do a fantastic job with the gotcha moments for those guys, and I can hardly wait to see this one that you're going to round it out with. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Wade, you got anything more from Mr. Marshall County?
Well, I was just getting ready to say Brad was a upstanding gentleman. He kept the Marshall County and Cornersville praise to a minimum. The Giles County and Richland guy and me certainly appreciates that. So thank you for your professionalism this afternoon.
One thing I do want to mention, though, as we are talking about Marshall County, and Brad, this you'll appreciate this. I got back into town earlier this week and realized we lost a legend here not too long ago. Marshall County baseball coach and longtime defensive coordinator for the Tigers, Joe George, passed away not too long ago. And, oh, man.
He was one of a kind.
He was absolutely one of a kind. The Tigers.
Yeah, I made it to the visitation on Friday night. I had to go to Knoxville for the Chris Burke announcement on Saturday, so I made sure to go to the visitation on Friday night. I got there with about an hour to go, and still waited in line for an hour and a half to talk to his family. Just the outpouring of support from that community. I mean, it just shows how much he meant, not just from a coaching perspective, but involved in his community, involved in his church. He was still teaching the teenagers at Sunday school every Sunday morning. His sons, Daniel and Jeremy, about my age, his daughter, Kristen, his wife, Jane, just an absolute pearl of a man, just unbelievable. And I told his sons, I said, one thing that you'll never forget is just what a good man your dad was. And, really sad that he's gone. He touched a lot of individuals, both through sports and just by the kind of person that he was. But you're right. Coach George will be missed for sure.
Absolutely. Brad, we appreciate it. Have fun in the next 3 days. And we'll catch up with you hope to catch up with you between now and the 15th. Maybe we can come down and do a show before y'all close it down. So
that sounds good. Let's do it.
We'll see if we can't figure that out. But we appreciate you.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
We are back. Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Maurice Patton, Wade Neely. Again, anytime we get to spend with Brad Willis is good stuff, and he never disappoints. So that was a fun Throwback Thursday segment there. And moving right along, speaking of never disappointing, our NBA expert, LANDEN SECREST, now joining us, talk a little playoffs. LANDEN, appreciate you taking some time from your studies at Belmont University. I reached out to this guy a couple of days ago. Hey, LANDEN, can you come on with us on Wednesday, talk a little NBA playoffs? I can't. I got an exam.
That's dedication, though. Dedication to the studies and the craft. We appreciate that very much, LANDEN.
Hashtag priorities there. Yeah. Are you done?
Yes, yes, I'm done. I finished my last exam yesterday at 11 a.m., so I'm done.
Congrats. So, are you now a senior?
Yes, I am a senior entering year 4 of college. Time is really flying.
Don't rush it, man, because you're going to be out a lot
Mm.
longer than you are in for sure. But congratulations. So are you in line to graduate this time next year? Then is that the plan?
I'm actually in line to graduate in December, so a little bit earlier than expected.
Hashtag overachiever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you gonna do it, or are you gonna kind of slow walk this thing and milk it a little longer?
It's still on the table. It just depends on, how many credit hours I can take and what's really left for me that's relevant to take in terms of coursework while still at school.
Okay. Well, great, man. I'm glad things are going well for you in the classroom. I know you're doing a lot of stuff from a practical standpoint, trying to hone your craft with your sideline reporting and different things of that ilk. But we're going to tap into your NBA knowledge for the next few minutes. What have you seen? What have you liked to this point in the postseason? And what do you expect here in the next bit?
It's been really exciting for me. I've tried to be locked in with pretty much every series so far, watch a couple of games here and there with my friends up at school and when I'm out of class at school, and just keeping track of the playoffs. It's been really exciting. And I mean, surprising is, I don't know if that word can do justice with what we've seen so far. When you see a team like the Phoenix Suns that's been swept, and you see the Lakers already out of the playoffs. And then when you talk about the people that didn't even make the playoffs, you talk about Steph Curry, and then the competitive series in the East right now. I mean, it's just a lot. There's a lot to talk about.
Now, if I recall correctly, you're an OKC fan, right?
Yes, Oklahoma City Thunder fan.
Okay, you like what you're seeing out of the West #1 seed to this point?
Yes, I'm really liking it. Of course, I tuned into all 4 of the games versus New Orleans, and I was expecting to win. I would have wished we played the Pelicans with Zion, played against the Pelicans with Zion. But, a series win is a series win, and moving on to the second round is always good.
What do we got tonight?
I believe it's Pacers and Bucks.
Bucks.
And I want to say maybe Magic and Cavs on the slate tonight.
Well, and Philadelphia and New York will be going tonight too.
I think it's just those two. I think
Just
it's Milwaukee, Indiana, and New York, Philadelphia. I think that's it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the rare Knicks Sixers game that starts that everybody can watch. It's not already underway by the time you get off work, because they don't tip till 8 o'clock tonight. So kind of the main event. And Landon, that kind of is what I wanted to get into and ask you about. We saw the 76ers pick themselves up off the mat the other night. Tyrese Maxey going crazy down the stretch. An insane 4-point play followed up by an even crazier 3-pointer. Are the 76ers suddenly resuscitated? They were moments away from being eliminated, and now they have a home game tonight trying to protect the house with their fans and trying to maybe get a win. What have you taken away, or what have you enjoyed about this series in particular?
I've really enjoyed the series just because it's been really action-packed. I mean, Jalen Brunson really flew under the radar in terms of stardom in the regular season, and now he's really getting to, showcase it on his stage. Although he does play for the New York Knicks, he is showcasing his talent on a high level here in the playoffs. And I think it's really good that the series is competitive, because in that game that you mentioned, Tyrese Maxey pretty much single-handedly brought the team back. And it's really interesting that they are kind of fighting back in this series with Joel Embiid now back healthy. It's really, really interesting to see if the Sixers can really claw back into the series and get that win tonight.
It's going to be fun. By far, I think, for me at least, in terms of storylines, drama, it seems like it's been the most compelling first round series. There were certainly some things, especially in that Lakers Nuggets series that brought a lot of drama. But in terms of fusing those two, you got all the off the court drama just in the sense of New York and Philly going at it toe to toe. But then now this has really turned into a super competitive series. And again, like we said, thought Philadelphia was done the other night. And now not only are they back in it, they're back at home this evening.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to follow because we know what Joel can bring to the table in terms of stardom and star power. And he can go off for 35 if he really brings it to the table. And the Sixers can really swing the series and get that momentum if they want to win this game and take it back to MSG.
Final note on that. I thought this was really cool. Mo and I have been talking a lot about uniforms in baseball, and Fanatics has gotten a lot of, rightly or wrongly, gotten a lot of bad press for that. But their CEO, Michael Rubin, after New York kind of invaded Philadelphia during Game 4 in this series, he said that's not going to happen on my watch. And so he went out and bought 2,000 tickets and is hoping to give all those out to folks that either can't afford them or first responders that have the night off. So if nothing else, Landon, it seems like they're going to have a little bit more sense of a home court advantage potentially tonight.
You're exactly right.
Landon, the Pacers and Bucks playing in Indianapolis tonight, Game 6. Do the Pacers finish this thing off, or do they give Milwaukee one last shot in Game 7 at home?
You know, I really thought that the Pacers were going to close it out, considering they were facing a Bucks team that didn't have Giannis and didn't have Dame, and they could not get it done. I mean, you see the players that stepped up on the Bucks, and you know the Pacers have that offensive firepower, and it's always the question of defense and can they stop other teams from scoring. And when you look at a game like tonight, when they're on their home court in Indiana, you expect them to come out firing and really, really emphatic on the offensive end, but it really comes back down to defense. I mean, can they get the stops? No matter who plays, Giannis, Dame, anybody on the Bucks, nobody can be underestimated because they can obviously score and they have that potential.
Now, obviously, if you are a Belmont person, then you are a Pacers fan, right?
Yes. I am a supporter of Ben Shepherd. I'm very happy that he's getting playoff minutes for that Pacers team.
How have you liked what he's been able to get done in those minutes in postseason play?
I mean, he's from what I've watched in the games that I've tuned into, he's really making the right plays, whether it's making an acrobatic layup that I saw a couple of games ago, or making a contested three, wide open three, making the timely shots that he needs to make, and then passing to Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton and whoever he needs to pass to, Miles Turner, in the timely matters that he needs to throughout the game. So although he's a rookie, I think he's really making the right plays, and that's why he's on the court.
Landon, coming into that game in particular tonight, Vegas has given a small lean to Indiana, obviously playing on their home court. Giannis is listed as questionable. Dame is listed as questionable. Giannis is listed as doubtful. If somehow Milwaukee goes in and wins that game, do you think there's a chance? It seems like certainly more so with Dame, but is there a chance that Giannis maybe suits up in what would be a potential Game 7 on Saturday?
I would say from a Giannis perspective, I would think he would want to be out there for his team just because of the competitive nature of Giannis. I'm sure he wants to be out there right now. We saw, I don't know if anyone was tuned into the Heat series, but Jimmy Butler was hurt and he was talking about how he wanted to be back so quickly. So I know Giannis has that same level of competitive nature, but at this point, I don't know if it's a logical thing for the Bucks to do because we've seen them now win a game without him. So I feel like if they get to that Game 7, although it would be a game of great magnitude, maybe they can actually get it done and save him for the next series.
The schedule on this could be crazy. Mo, check this out. We could be looking at Game 7 Bucks Pacers. We could be looking at Game 7 Sixers Knicks, but sandwiched in the middle, Game 1, and this is where I want to get into you next, Landon. Break down this Timberwolves Nuggets series. We could have 2 Game 7s and then Game 1, which what I think is going to be a fantastic Western Conference semifinal matchup.
I think the T-Wolves Nuggets series is going to be one of the best we see in these playoffs, just because Nuggets are obviously the defending champions, and when you see what Nikola Jokic does out there on the court, it's just amazing. And what Jamal Murray did to the Lakers, hitting pretty much 2 game-winning shots in that series, and the fact that everybody plays their role to that team on that team to a T, And then switching to the Timberwolves side, I mean, if you don't know who Anthony Edwards is by now, you need to tune in to any Timberwolves game and tune into that man play basketball, because he is literally an emerging superstar and a potential rise and face of the league right before our eyes in this playoffs. But the T-Wolves are an extremely underrated team, I still say, although they're really, really good because they have talent across the board. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, you got Michael Conley, former Memphis Grizzly, you got Jaden McDaniels, and 6th man of the year, Naz Reid, coming off the bench. I mean, they're just a stacked team, and I think it's going to be an excellent series.
It's amazing, that you say that Ant-Man is literally emerging in front of our eyes. I mean, here over this last 10 days, 2 weeks, I've heard more about Anthony Edwards than I have probably in 2 years, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's taking over the league. I mean, the way he plays and also his personality, he's just taking over games. I know one play in particular in the Phoenix matchup, he blew past Bradley Beal, then rose over Kevin Durant, and I believe it was Nurkic, just casually, and it was such an emphatic dunk. And I think that's everything that Anthony Edwards embodies, a play like that.
As they, I was just getting ready to say, and as we get ready to head into a potential closeout game, do you have a preference as a Thunder fan? We saw obviously Dallas put a nice number on Los Angeles last night. Do you like Dallas to close that out? And if you got to pick which one of those two teams as a fan of the Thunder, which one would you rather see?
I would honestly rather play the Clippers, just because their inconsistency is really, really crazy, because they're one of the best teams when they are all together, Westbrook, Harden, Paul George, Kawhi, when they're all on the court. But when one of them isn't on tabs, even if they all play, it's a disaster. I mean, Westbrook had a complete meltdown in one of the other games in the series. Kawhi can't really get on the court. Paul George is extremely inconsistent. And ironically enough, I think James Harden has been one of the most consistent Clippers this year since he found his stride with the team. So I would rather play them, but I know that either team would give us 100% a challenge. And I'm very afraid of Dallas because they have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, who people forgot was good for a very long time. But he's still phenomenal, and he's now playing with someone else who can give you 35, which is very, very horrifying.
Tomorrow night, the early game, 6 o'clock tip locally on ESPN. And it is ESPN, not NBA TV, Wade, but it's Orlando and Cleveland. A really undersung series here, but Cleveland got a chance to close this one out with a win tomorrow night. And again, this is a series that it's almost like no one is paying attention to, I guess, because the winner has to play top seed Boston. But what do you like it in that matchup?
Yeah, I know a lot of the discussion about this series was it is a series made for NBA TV because no one's going to watch it. But I actually have been tuned into the matchup because Paolo Banchero is one of my favorite players, and obviously I love to watch Darius Garland play on the Cavaliers. So I've really been tuned in, and I think it's a really honestly even series, and I know the Cavs have a chance to close it out. But just seeing how both teams are kind of emerging as well. I know I've used that word a lot, but Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell is a great backcourt. And when you look at the Cavs, they've got an Evan Mobley who's also like a Chris Bosh type player who's getting his minutes and getting his emphatic plays and timely plays and making them in the right way. And then Orlando, they've got Paolo Banchero, who's pretty much averaging the same numbers or nearly the same numbers as Jason Tatum. And it's pretty much getting ignored because he plays for the Magic and he's not getting the national recognition. And they also have someone like a Franz Wagner and just a well-rounded starting lineup. So I've been very pleased with the product of the Cavs-Orlando series.
Obviously, you've got 1, 2, 3. You've still got most of the semifinal matchups to be determined in the conferences. But, I mean, what is it? Oklahoma City, Denver in the West, and maybe the East is a little less clear-cut with Boston and somebody. But, I mean, what do you see for the conference finals?
I think my bias, of course, will show, but I think this is the year that Oklahoma City makes it to the Western Conference Finals. And then my pick to make it out of that T-Wolves Denver matchup is Denver, just because they've been there before, and I still haven't seen anyone that can stop Nikola Jokic to this point. Even though he'll be facing Rudy Gobert, who's a defensive stalwart, I don't know if Rudy will be able to stop him. And we know how that goes when the Nuggets have him rolling. He just gets everyone else involved. So I think that's the pick in the West. And then the East is a little interesting now just because of the development with the Celtics. Obviously, they're the best team, but Porzingis now has this, I think, calf injury that may sideline him for just a little bit. And I don't know how that will affect the chemistry for them and their mantra for the team. But I think the Celtics are clear-cut probably the best team in the East. And my pick to make it out of the bottom half of the bracket, I like New York. I think Brunson can take them very far if they close out the games and they don't have another. They can't have a meltdown like they did against Philadelphia. If they make it past them against a team like the Celtics, they can't do that. But I think Brunson deserves the stage, and I think he'll make it to the stage of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Wade, anything else for Mr.
I was just getting ready. Yeah, I was getting ready to agree with Landon. I'm curious, kind of your official take there, because there's a lot of basketball nerds that are saying that Minnesota is kind of going to be a real challenge for Denver. And Denver's, yes, they had the gentleman's sweep versus the Lakers. Some of the games were tight, though. They trailed in almost every game, sometimes by double digits. Is there any concern for you about Denver? Because I'm kind of like you, though. I feel like even a little defensive concern coming out of that first round series, I think they're maybe going to get things back. And I'm kind of still not sold on Minnesota. And until I see them do it, I got a hard time picking against the defending champs in that particular series.
Yeah, I certainly won't discount Minnesota just because of the fact that Anthony Edwards gave it to a team that has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in the first round. So surely if he's going to make that for sure rise to superstardom and legitimacy in this league, he can get past the Nikola Jokic. But I think the Nuggets surely will be challenged when you look at the matchups. Like I said, I mentioned somebody like a Naz Reid on the Minnesota Timberwolves who comes off the bench. Who's going to match up with him off that Nuggets bench in the second unit of the rotation? Because I don't know if a Jokic can stay with him as far as his dribble moves and things like that. We know Rudy Gobert is going to be in the paint and is going to be the primary defender. But I think Minnesota has that athleticism that Denver may not be able to contain early on, and they might be able to steal a game or two just based off of that. I know they're young, and I know they don't necessarily have the experience, but they may get a game or two just solely off that, and then it's fair game for the rest of the series.
I think whoever, assuming the Thunder obviously get by either Dallas or Los Angeles, I think whether it's the Nuggets or the Timberwolves, we're in store for a dandy in that potential Western Conference showdown.
I agree. I think it's going to be action-packed on both sides. I think the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, it's going to be a great matchup. It's been a great playoff so far, as I've said.
Excuse me. Landon SECREST, our NBA expert, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by DOA of Columbia. Landon, appreciate it. I would tell you get back to the books, but you're done. So maybe we can get you on again here as we continue down the path to the NBA Finals. But we appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you, Mo. Thank you, Wade. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Landon. See you.
Excuse me. When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we'll be wrapping up the show with the grab bag. So stay with us when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No.
Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom
there'll
line.
be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, Maurice Patton, Wade Neely, coming down the stretch and reaching into the grab bag. And Wade, I'm not sure if you saw it, but apparently Tennessee's lawsuit against the NCAA over NIL that they brought along with the Commonwealth of Virginia, they now have some other states getting involved in that action as well. Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti announced that Florida, New York, and Washington, D.C. have joined the coalition, alleging the NCAA of violations of federal antitrust laws by placing restrictions on the ability of student athletes to benefit from NIL. Strength in numbers, I guess.
Strength in numbers, and you got Florida and New York. When you think of lawyers, those are two states that I think of right away. And you got Washington, D.C. straight in the mix. It seems like Tennessee and Virginia are in pretty good company in terms of just a legal generalization there. And so this is kind of a story, honestly, you're right. It kind of had slipped my radar. There was so much uproar when it came out, and then UT just promptly to go WWE on them, kind of just laid the smackdown and kind of turned the tables on the NCAA a little bit. So it's one that kind of had slipped off my radar, and we kind of almost are looking at a, be careful what you wish for type situation, it seems like, with the NCAA.
Yeah, and they being the NCAA, I think they really kind of find themselves in an unenviable position just from the standpoint that the court of public opinion at this point is really not in their favor. And, as more and more states potentially join in on this, it's almost like the NCAA is going to kind of be forced to just throw their hands up here at some point. And, I think that's interesting because it dovetails with another piece here in the grab bag. Chris and I went to the Coaches versus Cancer breakfast earlier today down at Brentwood Baptist Church that had a number of local NCAA basketball coaches in attendance, including Casey Alexander from from Belmont, Nick McDevitt from MTSU, TSU's Penny Collins, and Xavier Joyner, an assistant at Vanderbilt, who came over with Mark Byington from JMU. But, the one thing that all four of those coaches seem to agree on is that something needs to be done to, not necessarily reel in NIL or the portal, because neither of them is going away. But obviously there's got to be some tweaks to try to get some of the competitive balance, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, tilted back toward the schools, maybe away from the players. But there's a lot going on right now in this realm, and it feels like it's all unchecked. And again, I have said from day one that I'm for the players having freedom of movement, and I'm for the players getting paid, because I've seen a time where they had neither. But there's got to be something better than where we are, but also better than where we were, maybe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's interesting kind of how this situation with just kind of NIL at large is playing out, because we've kind of gone beyond the initial days where, older folks were, angry man yells at cloud and shaking their fists. We've kind of gotten beyond that. And it's interesting, though, that we have such a kind of discourse among the coaches in the example you just kind of mentioned there, because I think a lot of folks were really concerned at the beginning that, once we allow NIL, certain teams are just going to absolutely just destroy everybody. And to an extent, some of that has happened just a little bit, but there's not been this just massive disparity in competitive advantage that I've noticed, at least, or that I can really put a finger to, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, obviously. And so now the question is kind of just how can we tweak it a little bit and make it better? Everything is kind of out of the box at this point, and now it's kind of just we're in that weird little feeling out phase. And I think maybe give us another 2 or 3 years, and we might have something that actually is pretty functional and makes everybody happy, right? That's the way I'm looking at it, at least.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think it's got to be tweaked. I think there's got to be some tweaks. Just so coaches and programs know who they're working with, from a transfer portal standpoint, and just so they know what everybody is dealing with from a resources standpoint, I think, in terms of NIL. So I think some tweaks are in order, and maybe the NCAA, maybe some cooler heads will prevail in this, and we can get some folks together in a room and work something out, so that it's not the total anarchy maybe that we've seen to this point. But again, Coaches versus Cancer, that was a great event that we were able to get to this morning with that Q&A that Steve Lehman led with those 4 coaches. They've got a golf outing Monday at the Golf Club of Tennessee, and if you're interested in playing with some NCAA and some local college basketball coaches, check that out. I think there's a website. Hang on. It's coachesversuscancertn.com. Pretty straightforward. Check it out.
Hey, real quick on that too. I don't know if he's playing, but I'm just going to tell everybody, if former Austin Peay coach Dave Luce is at that tournament,
get in his foursome.
Get in that foursome, especially if there's any sort of bragging rights or money to be had, because I've got it on great authority that guy, the legend himself, Dave Luce, will absolutely smoke you. He'll do it from the senior tees, but he will smoke you on the golf course. That's just what I've heard around the water coolers over the years.
Well, since he retired, he's probably had some time to work on his game a little bit, so that I can see how that could be the case. Speaking of smoking, folks, Kirby Smart apparently is smoking every college football coach in the country in terms of compensation.
Oh, yes. What did we say? 13 million. We'll get back with Mo here in just a second, but Kirby Smart, Thursday, school officials formally announcing a raise and an extension for Kirby Smart. New deal including a raise $1.75 million per season, which thrusts him to the top of that coaching salary leaderboard, up to $13 million. He's the first ever $13 million coach, and he's now locked down for the next 10 years or so, 9 years or so. So Kirby Smart, his quarterback's driving a Lambo. Kirby doesn't really strike me as a Lambo guy, but if he wanted one, he could go out and afford one right now.
He could probably get more than one. Yeah, like you said, Dabo Sweeney had been the highest paid coach at $11.5 million. So Kirby went past Dabo. He went past $12 million all the way up to 13. But since 2007, Georgia is 86-11. That's the best record in NCAA football. So if anybody deserves it, it's Kirby. So.
Yeah, and you see that, and we talk about these deals sometimes, and sometimes it just comes down to when you're negotiating, right? And you could have a new coach that just because we see in free agency all the time, you say, how does this guy get paid more than this guy? Well, because the other guy's contract wasn't up for negotiation just yet, or it wasn't the right time. But it is good, and it feels just, I suppose, as much as I can say that for a guy that will never sniff $13 million. It feels just that the guy who pretty much has been the gold standard for college football coaching over the last 7 or 8 years is now also the highest paid.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you are having the most success, theoretically, you should be getting paid the most. And, in a to the victors go the spoils kind of thing, Georgia AD Josh Brooks also got a raise. Nothing like Kirby's, but he's going to be making $1.275 million this next year. So his deal was extended through the end of this decade. He'll get a guaranteed raise of $100,000 each year between now and then. So he's going to top out at about 1.35, a little bit more than that by the time this contract is over. So, congratulations to Josh Brooks as well.
Yeah,
a lot of money in Athens.
A lot of money flowing in Athens, and Kirby Smart. He was at SEC Media Days when we were all there last year, and I just remember him talking about how he enjoyed his summer months, and it wasn't going on some crazy vacation. He basically did say he did take a vacation out of the country, but he had to be drugged there essentially by his wife, his significant other. He said he's kind of content more just to sit back and watch his kids play youth baseball and kind of just grow up. So he ain't out making flashy purchases by any stretch. He's being smart with his money, it seems like, and now he's got a lot more of it.
A lot more money to be smart with. One final note here before we get out of here. Apparently, Tyler Boyd, Cincinnati Bengals receiver, is meeting with the Tennessee Titans on a free agent visit. So,
Mo, I can tell you, I was at St. Thomas earlier picking up some stuff for the concert tonight. He was in the building, and he is. It'll be interesting. We're talking Tyler Boyd, the football player, because we had Belair on the show yesterday. Not talking about the Nashville Soccer Club player. We're talking about the wide receiver, and the Titans still making moves like we've discussed, even though the draft is now concluded.
Well, I guess this is the time to make them. Maybe they didn't get all the receivers that they felt like they wanted or needed in the draft. Didn't address that position as well as they would have liked. Maybe they still got some questions about Treylon Burks. So Tyler Boyd would certainly help address that. So,
and they were talking about a Bengals receiver all off season. Maybe just not Tyler Boyd. So he says, "Hey, I can play some ball. Let me get in there."
There we go. Let's keep an eye on that. Tomorrow on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we've got Nashville Sounds. Brewer Hicklin set to join us. We will also be joined by Rick Bozich talking Kentucky Derby. So stay with us. Come back 2 o'clock right here. Main Street Sports Today. We appreciate it. We'll see you then.